All right, we are live, and I'm really excited today. I want to first take a minute to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone at caveout.com. I want to thank everybody in the studio. I want to thank everybody for their support. I have a really special guest today. I'm excited to have on. We haven't known each other super long, but I love this girl's energy. I love what she's doing. I took a moment and did some research and looked into her story, and it is amazing, and I can't wait to share it with you guys today. I have the one and only Kendall Jones.
Hello there.
So
How are you?
this is amazing. So I'm really excited to have you on, and I watched your video on your website, your trailer there, and wow, I was blown away. Like when I just thought, oh, here's just another hunter chick, self-promoting or whatever. I was like, wow, like look at all the stuff she's done. Look at the lifetime she's lived. Look at the family situation, everything that's gone on. This is amazing. And you just have so many layers at such a young age. Tell me a little bit about, I watched the video. Your website has a beautiful documentary that lays everything out. But tell me just, how has it been, like all this just coming about and you've really hit your stride? I mean, this is just, do you feel like you've lived a lifetime already?
I don't know any different. So I can't say that I have lived a lifetime, but I know I have a lot of friends and family that are always like, wow, you have lived so much in your 25 years. And whenever I look back, and actually whenever I watched that documentary, I was watching it as if I wasn't that person that went through all of that. And it really just opened my eyes to what all I've actually really been through because, it's one of those, it's fight or flight, whenever something comes up, you either have to be a warrior and fight it and get through it, or you can give up. And that's just not someone I am. Like, I don't like to give up. I don't like to lose. I fight for what I believe in. And, I know my why. So like, I'm not going to let anyone tear me down and make me who I'm not.
Well,
So,
we're going to get to the haters. We'll get there.
yeah.
But I want to ask you, you have such such a work ethic and such a drive, and you have done so much, and we can say blah blah blah, because you have that attitude a little bit like most successful people, like, so what, I'm not done yet, you know what I mean? So
Oh yeah, for sure.
of course. But you talked about something that in that video, and I paid attention and took some notes. You talked about seasons of life, and it's something I've talked about a little bit on this podcast, and it really hit home with me. I think life is all about seasons, and I believe that spiritually, professionally, I think you go through seasons of growth. Has it been wild that the season that you lived through put you out there in such a way that it's like, you were on a rocket ship at a young age and you had to deal with so much. Do you feel like, wow, like this season, this should have came later. This shouldn't have come now. Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah. Let me just say, I'm glad I'm through that season. I can officially say like that is something I've been through, something I've gone through, and something I have overcome. And now I just look at it as, where am I going next? I know there's definitely seasons of life, things that you go through that I always expect the unexpected. I have learned to not have a plan anymore, because every time I have a plan, it always seems like that's not what God wants me to do.
Right.
So he's going to switch it up and throw a curveball at me. So now I just roll with the punches and just do what I want to do and try to do good. And it's just been crazy, honestly. Like, I'm sitting here right now just thinking of everything, and honestly, all I can say is it's crazy.
We always say life is what happens while you're making plans, right? Like, life just kind of,
for sure.
yeah, stuff happens. But you've had so many different series of things happen to you very early in life that most people don't go through till much later in life. So it's really exciting to see you deal with it all in such a mature way. Like, most people on social media never reach the level of national attention that you have in that very short period of time. So that can sometimes break somebody, right? That can be insanely overwhelming to overcome.
I can say it definitely made me grow up faster. I wasn't the average college student anymore, because when everything happened, I was 19. I was a sophomore going into, I was a junior going into, freshman going into my sophomore year of college. And, you know, a normal college student, you know, they go out, they party, they go to class. They really don't have too many responsibilities. Some kids work, but it's not as in the limelight as I was. Everyone was watching my every move, just waiting for me to mess up, just waiting for something to come out about me that would ruin my life. And so I always had to be on my toes about everything, making sure what I was doing was good and wasn't going to hurt my future at 19 years old. Having all eyes on you is
it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And
especially when you have people from not only all over the US, but you have international people looking at you as well, like people from overseas in different countries, and they're just following your journey. Some love it, some are just waiting for you to mess up.
And, you know, I think social media, and I know you've lived through this at a young age, and I've talked about this before on the show, people just are out there just looking for, like, I gotcha moments, right? Like, that's a lot of what social media is about.
They're just waiting for you to post something or see something to go after you about. Something they don't agree with, they're going to hop right on it and let you know their opinion.
Yeah, and you go through those cycles, and we've all been through them, Kendall, where you give a shit, right? Like, you care, and you're kind of like, okay, like, oh, I have to answer this person, or, oh, they said, you know, look at her, you know, she's just posing for the camera, or look at this, it's just, you know, her hair's not done right, or look at him, you know, whatever. It's one of those things that you just have to, you push through it, right? You reach a point where you just, you don't give a fuck. And
yeah, exactly.
And it's not easy to get to that point, but you get there. And when you get there, it's like a whole nother level of freedom. You're like, I don't care, you know, whatever. Because I've literally, you know, being one of the guys in the leadership of the firearms business and being out there, I took every bullet you could possibly take. I was never tactical enough. I was never ninja enough. I was never outdoors enough. I was never enough of anything to satisfy the needs of everybody else, right? Like, so I always joke with a lot of the guys, you know, that you're never going to be SWAT enough. You're never going to be special forces enough. You're never going to be hunter enough. You're never going to be, it's never enough.
Exactly. And that's one thing I have learned. Like, you're going to post a picture of you shooting a bow. You're going to post a picture of you shooting a gun, and someone somewhere is going to have an issue with it. And I'm doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
Everything, and I'm the first one to admit it. I'm always willing to learn. Like, I didn't ask to be in the limelight. I kind of got thrown into it, but with that, it gave me a platform to educate other people. And I think people seeing that, it lets them get out and know that they don't have to be perfect to promote what they love and what they love to do. And that's one thing I really like to push is just get out there. Who cares what people say? Like, you're not going to please everyone. And if you did try to please everyone, you would live a miserable life.
Absolutely.
Like, if you tried to go out there and make everyone happy, that you're not going to be happy yourself. So that's one thing I do is I do what I want. I know why I'm doing it. I know what I'm doing, and if people disagree with it, we can agree to disagree, but I'm not doing it just because, for no reason. I always have a reason for doing what I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's very clear. I mean, you can see that from the photos you post, the videos you put out, and just the content. You're way ahead of the game. I mean, you're websited up, you have a bunch of stuff out there. So the book on you is still being written, but you have a lot of chapters out there. So,
oh, for sure. I already have one book like that could be written. I don't have a book yet. That's something that is definitely in the plans for the future, but I haven't started it. But yeah, I have already lived, like you said, a lifetime of things, but my story's still being written.
Yeah. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, social media is a funny thing. It's great. At the same time, it has its drawbacks, and nobody knows that better than you. and you've lived through it. You've battled through it. What are some of your favorite moments that have come out of social media in this meteoric rise that you've had in the hunting community?
I mean, I would say my most favorite is it's given me a platform and a voice for a small community. Like, yeah, there's a lot of hunters in the world, but in the grand scheme of things, there's not. We're just a small group of people. And I think with my story, I have a diverse demographic. I have a lot of people that aren't hunters that follow me, and they love seeing what I do. And maybe they don't necessarily want to do it themselves, but they love to watch me and see what I do. And I've actually had some people that weren't hunters that want to get into it now because of me. And I think that that's incredible.
Yeah, I think, when you are granted a platform, I'm trying to put this perfectly. When you're granted a platform like you've been and some people out there have, you reach a point where you start to almost understand that you have a responsibility and how you handle that platform and the things that you do. And it's amazing to me to watch it play out and seeing you embrace that, and a lot of people don't. And you do it with a certain amount of dignity and grace. And you're not out there saying, here's me jumping in an ocean in my bikini or whatever and trying to put stuff out. You put quality out there and you're going to get quality back. And at the end of the day, people are going to say what they want to say. But I think you've done a fantastic job putting your story out there, maintaining the integrity of what you're trying to accomplish and using your platform properly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, there's definitely been some obstacles throughout it. Like, I was young when I got thrown into this, and I've learned things to post and not to post. I don't say that I'm perfect, because there's things out there that I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said or done or posted that. But at the time, I thought it was a good idea. And all you can do is learn from it and educate people along the way.
Yeah, you can't be perfect, all the time. You can't be. No one's going to be perfect, so you just try to get it right.
Everyone's going to make mistakes. Everyone's going to do something that someone doesn't agree with, but you just have to roll with it and be who you are and be the change that you want to see in the world.
Now, you've dealt with so many, I guess you'd call them setbacks in life. It's really, you to everyone listening, you gotta go watch the video. Losing your dad at a young age, losing your grandparents at a young age, which I can relate to, are insurmountable things to come back from. Usually you hope to have those people with you for an extended period of time in your life, but unfortunately, you didn't have that. And you just kind of picked yourself up by your bootstraps, and you can see it in the video. And now you're running, I believe it's a ranch or a farm, and you just kind of embraced that moment. What was that like?
Yeah, I had a lot of loss while I was in college, and a lot of setbacks, things that I didn't know how I was going to come back from, and some that it did set me back. I was like depressed after my dad died. I didn't know if I wanted to get out and hunt again. It was really hard because that was one of the things that we did together. But at the end of the day, I kept reminding myself, my dad would be pissed if I stopped hunting. Like, my dad wouldn't want that from me. And so that's kind of what gave me the energy and drive to get back out there and to do it again. And I can honestly say, since he's been gone, I have fell more in love with hunting than I ever was. And I've learned so much from it. And I'm a true believer in everything happens for a reason. And although I don't know exactly what that reason was at the time, or even still to this day, I know that it happened because that's what God had in my path, and he knew I could make good out of it.
You talked a lot about the lessons he taught you. What's the biggest lesson that sticks with you?
Being an entrepreneur in a business mindset. You can ask anyone that's close to me. They are like, you have your dad's insides. So, like, his brain and the way you think and the way you handle business and all the ideas you have, like, your dad definitely rubbed off on you in that part.
It's kind of amazing to see, because when I did a little bit of research into some of the things you had going on, you know, you're at a young age, you already have, you know, your website up and running, product lines, so many different things. And, you know, we have people that come up to us all the time, Kendall, and they're like, I want to do this, I want to do that, you know.
Yeah.
So you can see that, like, it totally bleeds out of you. You know what I mean?
From a young age, I was an entrepreneur. I don't know if I said this in my story, but I know I made a speech about it. I remember I was like 3 years old and my parents owned many storage buildings, and I used to coloring sheets and draw coloring sheets and try to sell them for like $1 to each of the customers that came in. And then in middle school, I made duct tape wallets and I sold them at school. Like, so I was always doing stuff. And as I got older, I had always wanted to open a boutique. I love shopping. I love clothes and everything like that. My dad, as much as I was a girl, I was his little boy too, but he supported me in it. And in high school, I opened up a jewelry boutique, and he would be the one that would go up to Dallas with me and go shopping with me and help me pick out inventory for my boutique. So even though it wasn't something that he necessarily loved, he was all in with it.
Yeah, and that's clear. Now, at a super young age, I have to bring this up, you knocked out the African Big Five.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
I started the Big Five whenever I was 13 and completed it by the time I was 14. It was crazy.
What was the toughest hunt?
The toughest hunt? Probably, trying to think, probably the leopard. Not like endurance wise or anything like that. Just leopards are really hard to hunt in general. Like, I know a bunch of people that have been over there had hunted leopards for 70 days total, like multiple trips, multiple days. So like that was probably one of the hardest ones to actually hunt after. But the scariest and most terrifying was the Cape buffalo, because at 14, I shot it. It fell over. My dad was backing me up, and the PH with me was backing me up just in case anything went wrong. And the Cape buffalo actually fell, and my dad like peeked out to see where he fell and what was going on. And as soon as my dad peeked his head out, the buffalo saw him, got up, and charged us. And my dad shot it right in the chest, and the PH shot it right in the shoulder at 15 feet from us.
Wow.
So that was pretty terrible. I screamed and ran the other way. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
I
don't blame you.
I didn't another bullet in the chamber yet because I was just so shooken. So
now
that was the most intense one.
You finish the Big Five and then you transition right away to the Dangerous Seven.
Yeah. Okay. So for your listeners, people that might not know what the Big Five is, it's a leopard, lion, Cape buffalo, elephant, and rhino, and it's the most dangerous animals in Africa. And then so those are the Big Five, and then the Dangerous Seven, you add on a crocodile and a hippo to those five, and that's considered the Dangerous Seven.
It's amazing, and a lot of people don't realize this, right? And this is something to bring up, and a listener was asking the question. They don't realize that these tags and these hunts, they're not only a huge step towards raising money for conservation and land protection. And can you explain a little bit of that to people that don't really understand it?
Yeah, I actually did a video on this, and you can see it over on my Instagram page. I did a 180 series with Turning Point, and it was how hunting doesn't hurt animals. It actually helps them. So, you know, there's a lot of money that hunters spend to go on hunts, especially big ones like the hunts I went on in Africa. And that money from the tags and the permits and the licenses and all the legal stuff behind actually hunting, that money goes back to help anti-poaching teams to make sure the animals don't get poached. And that people misunderstand the difference between hunters and poachers. Poachers are ones that just go out, kill the animal for whatever need they want. Like with the rhino epidemic, they are just cutting off the horn and leaving the body there, which that's not hunting. That's not what hunters are about. That's poaching. That's going out, and that's not what hunters are. So the money goes from the tags and permits and licenses, goes back into like anti-poaching teams and animal research development. And it just goes back to all of the research done to make sure these animals don't go extinct and they aren't depleted out. So that's my best rundown on it. There's so much more that goes into it, and you can watch it on my Instagram under my IGTV. It's How Hunting's Conservation.
Now, I think that's just a major, a lot of people, it's a major misconception. They don't know the difference between a poacher and a hunter. And they don't understand how bad poaching is.
For sure. Especially what always gets brought up to me is the African hunting. It's so hard to explain what Africa is like and the hunting and wildlife over there if you've never experienced it. And if you don't know what happens over there just within the natives. If it wasn't for hunting, animals over there where there's some of the best animals in the world, in my opinion, would be extinct if it wasn't for hunters.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I think people don't fully understand or can't wrap their head around the concept of what goes into a hunt, the amount the tags are, and how much of that goes back to the land and the preservation. So I think they should tune into the video.
If they don't do any research behind it, they just see on social media someone posing with a dead animal. And I can see how that would be unsettling to someone that doesn't know the background behind it and what the reason actually is. And I always say sacrifice one to save many.
Right. Now, after all these hunts, do you still feel like that there's mountains you need to conquer and what that next mountain might be?
1,000,000%. I have a huge bucket list. I want to be able to go out and experience all the different kinds of hunting, because hunting is hunting, but there's so many different ways and types of hunting that I haven't experienced yet. There's a lot of unknown territory I haven't been to yet that I would love to experience. I'm planning a New Zealand hunt right now, and I couldn't be more excited. I've seen pictures and I've heard stories about it, and it just seems incredible. So I can't wait to experience it myself.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think that the experience in getting out there and finding those next mountains and those next things to conquer, including the work you're doing with Turning Point, is going to be something that's going to be really exciting to watch.
For sure. I can't wait for it.
Now, do you have any plans to maybe eventually get into your own podcast or get something out there that starts to tell your story beyond a book?
Yeah, so I've had a bunch of different ideas flowing through my brain. A podcast has definitely been something I've talked about. Nothing in the works yet. One thing I'm working on right now is a video series that I'll probably post it on YouTube. The details aren't out there yet. But wait, I'm echoing. It's not echoing on your end, is it?
No, you're okay.
Okay. Yeah, so going out, and the video series is going to be the Cody Project, which Cody was my dad, and it's going to be, so it goes kind of with the documentary. It's going to be live on the ranch after him. And what I'm doing out here, what ranch management's like, because it's a high-fenced ranch here in Texas, and we have exotic animals here. And so it's going to be educational on what ranch life is like and how I'm taking it over and stuff like that.
Now, you obviously take over this massive, at least it looked on the video, massive ranch. I haven't been there. Day in and day out, you're running this ranch, correct?
I can't take all the credit for it. I have an incredible team that helps me a lot. We have a ranch manager named Patrick, and I would say he's the one that's running it. Me and my mom are the business behind it, and finding out ways how we can keep it going. So we don't do all of the hard labor work. I mean, sometimes I go out with Patrick and help him and see what he's out doing, but he definitely keeps the ranch running and feeds the animals and does all of the hard work that goes into it. But me and my mom do the back end of it, making as far as like finances and all of that.
Yeah, it looks like
I would love to be able to do it. I wouldn't say I would love to be able to do it because I don't know how well I'd do out there on a skid steer by myself. But I just love to see the progress that Patrick makes on the ranch and the different ideas we come up with, and all of the things that he accomplishes after we've talked about different ideas.
Right. I got to ask, it's interesting with all the law changes and things that are going on right now, especially in Virginia, in the 2A community. And that's obviously something that's a byproduct of your hunting. Does it scare you a little bit, kind of where the country's attempting to go?
Yeah, for sure. Especially with the 2016 election, I know a lot of us were pretty worried about what would have happened if the turnout wasn't what it came to be, which I'm so thankful for that Trump was elected in. But I can't say that I am totally up to date on all of the laws going on in each state, but I know we are definitely fighting for our Second Amendment rights right now. I know that people are trying to take away our freedom, and that's not something that settles well to me, because I know the good that guns can do. I mean, I don't know if you heard about the shooting in Texas.
Of course.
A couple weeks ago at that church. I mean, what would have happened if a good guy hadn't had a gun?
Of course.
It could have been a lot worse than how bad it already was.
Yeah, it can spiral really fast, and I think 2020 is going to be really interesting, and I'm really hoping they add the exclamation point. I'm hoping the Trumps and of course, that campaign, they can put the exclamation point on it and really solidify that, hey, look, there's great people out there that want to see this country do well, and they want to support the things that we're doing in this country first. It doesn't mean we don't want to be humanitarians and help outside these walls, but we have some things we need to fix here and get right here and dial in.
Exactly. And I don't get how people don't see that. I think we need to be good within ourselves and have a stable economy going, and just a stable life over here before we go out and hand out money to all of these different countries who need help. I think we need to help ourselves first, and then we're able to really help other people. And that's one thing that going back to what I do a lot of philanthropy work within all of my hunting stuff as well. I do a Christmas angel auction, and I provide Christmas for over 50 kids this year. And I did a back to school fundraiser that provided school supplies for kids that need a little extra help. So I think that can kind of go hand in hand. Of course, I need to be making money and be stable within myself before I go out and help other people. But once I am good, I'm more than willing to help people that need help, because I know there's people out there that aren't as fortunate as we are. Kind of like there's countries out there that don't have the freedom that we have.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I think you're exactly right. I think every point you're making is spot on. Now, let's transition for a second, because I don't get super political, but I think that you're going in the right direction with the whole Turning Point angle. How has it been working with them?
Oh, it has been awesome. I actually wasn't too into politics before the 2016 election, and I started probably because I was younger too. I think I was 21 in 2016. I was 21, I think 20 maybe. And so I wasn't all in with it yet. I didn't think that the laws and what was going on in the government would affect me then. And I couldn't be more wrong. I mean, I encourage everyone to stay up to date with what's going on and know what is up at risk in like within the government, the laws they're trying to pass and things like that. So Turning Point has been incredible, gotten me more into politics and understanding what is actually happening within our nation.
Yeah, I think it's especially if you're not into politics, you once you start to, and at a young age, I mean, it's difficult to say who is, it kind of seems like something that's a million miles away. So, I mean,
Yeah.
You start to get into it after college. Usually you start to get into it when you start to cash a paycheck, right? So it starts to matter to you more.
When you go to cash a paycheck and they take half of it, you're like, what the heck? I worked for that money.
Where does this go? So you start to pay attention, you start to see what's going on. And obviously being from Texas, you guys have, the great state of Texas has a very, rich culture when it comes to hunting and shooting, and I think that state, it's safe to say, is relatively protected and safe from some of the nonsense in other states and other regions. But at the same time,
well, let me say,
yeah,
you would hope so. I've heard from multiple people that we're going to be a swing state this year, and that just blows my mind. And I think it goes back to people moving into the cities, because I know the big cities are the ones that are sometimes blue. And so let's just hope that we don't get too many more crazies here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that for the most part, Texas will be fine. There's just other areas that will suffer a little bit more. And probably have to battle through it. For the most part, I think you guys are in a good position. If you were if you were in like the Northeast, or you were, in an area, California, you might be in a little bit more trouble. But for the most part, I think you're in a good spot. I mean, there's ranges open in every day.
Oh, for sure. There's worse places to be than Texas.
Absolutely.
I'm a proud Texan.
Now, let me ask this. Being a proud Texan, you went to Texas Tech. You obviously, I noticed, root for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes.
I know.
They like to break my heart a lot, but.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you're obviously a sports fan. You have a cheer background. How disappointing have the Cowboys been?
Oh, I actually, the past couple years, I haven't been as into it as I have been in the past, but it's heartbreaking. We should have another, we should at least be able to go to the playoffs every year and make a run in the playoffs. And it's just, we have the talent. It's just, the cards never work out in our favor, I feel like.
Well, being a Patriots fan myself, I always like to stick the knife in a little deeper into Cowboy country.
Hey, how about those Patriots this year, though?
Yeah, I mean, I think after going to 4, it was time to give someone else a little try. Give someone a taste.
Question for you.
Shoot.
Do you think Tom Brady will be back?
Absolutely. There's no.
How old is he now? Like 43?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think, I'll say this, one football fan to another, and I know you're a closet football fan, but you're holding it back because your team just isn't there and you're taking it out on me. But
I mean, I can't disagree there. I know if my Cowboys were doing good, I would probably be way more into it.
Sure.
But I've actually become a Chiefs supporter this year too.
Yeah, it's hard not to root for Andy, right? It's hard not to be like, hey.
I wouldn't say Andy. I would say Patrick Mahomes. I went to school with him. So I cheered at Tech while he was the quarterback for 3 years.
I think Patty's going to have a lot of chances to win. Andy's getting up there in age, and I'd like to see Andy make a run at it.
Yeah.
Just because I think he's due. So being, a guy who follows the coaches really closely and pays attention, I would like to say I'd like to see Andy get there and have another chance at winning another one. Once you get there, all bets are off, and who knows. But
for sure. I mean, he has good talent behind him, so let's just hope that they can bring it through. And I didn't watch the game on Sunday, but didn't they have a good comeback and end up winning?
Yeah, they did. I think this is the next big step for them, right? Like I think they have to get over this hurdle. Andy's kind of been the king of like AFC championship games and NFC championship games through the years, him with Philly. I think he's got to get over this hurdle and get there, and then we'll see. You know, he's due. I mean, there's no question. I think he's well over 100. I think he's 150 win plus coach. You know, so he's there. I mean, I'd say he's a Hall of Fame coach. He's there. It's just whether or not he's going to get it over the hump, and I hope that he does. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Brady will. To answer your other question, I think Brady will be back. I think it's almost 95%. I think he'll have 3 more years. I don't think it's Brady you have to fear. You know.
Yeah.
I think what you have to fear is Belichick, and Belichick's probably going to be around another 10. And if history's shown you anything, every couple of years, he's going to just kind of sneak up there and dominate the AFC for a period of time.
Oh, for sure. Do you think that Brady will become a coach after?
No. Hell no.
No?
No way.
A commentator?
No.
Like my boy Romo?
No. No.
Hey, you have to admit, he is a good commentator, Tony Romo.
Yeah, I mean, he's good at something. He's not good at winning playoff games.
Oh, hey.
Good at something.
Settle down over there, yeah. Okay?
I mean,
I actually have a short, funny story about Tony Romo.
Shoot.
Whenever I was in middle school, we had season tickets, and my mom was in love with Tony Romo. Like, so much love that she wore his picture around her neck on a necklace. Oh. And I remember me and my dad, we were leaving a game that the Cowboys had just lost, and Tony Romo choked in the fourth. And so me and him were just picking about Tony Romo, making fun of him. And my mom got so pissed at me. She grounded me and took my phone away from me at the game. She was so mad.
Well, you know, I think the league's better when the Cowboys are good. So I'll agree with you there. I want to see that. And believe me, selfishly, I wanted to see a Cowboys-Patriots Super Bowl. But at the end of the day,
I think that would be awesome.
You can't win them all. And the Patriots have just been so dominant for so long. At some point, fatigue's going to set in. And it's one of those things. But I think they'll be back, and I think they're going to be dangerous for a few years. And football is something, as one of those sports that people just get so regionally passionate about, and it's so much fun for me being from New England to see it play out. But selfishly, of course. But
yeah,
I think that Texas is unique because you guys just live for it, you know. And with your cheer background, I mean, you were right in the middle of it all the time.
From football here, that is a religion. Like, from Pee-wee to middle school to high school to college, like, those players and those parents and the coaches, they are all in for it here. Like, Friday Night Live, that's like an event everyone has to go to. Yeah,
no, I absolutely can respect and acknowledge that. There's no question. I mean, New England football can't hold a candle, especially at the high school level, to what Texas is. And it's different up there. I try to tell people all the time, you have to remember, we have all 5 of the major sports. So college sports aren't as big. It's very hard to walk in the shadow of the Red Sox, the Patriots. You know what I mean? It's tough.
Yeah. So I would say that South, like, just all the southern states live and breathe college football. Like,
I was going to ask you, was it tough to give up cheering?
Yes and no, because I never game day cheered growing up, so I was never on the sidelines. I always did competitive cheer. And have you heard about the new documentary on Netflix called Cheer?
I have heard about it. I haven't watched it. I was too busy watching, Don't Fuck with Cats.
I've heard about that one. I haven't watched it yet.
You have to.
Okay, I definitely will. But the cheer documentary, it's so good and so accurate as to what competing college cheer is like and what all-star cheer is like. They don't really go into much with competitive cheer, but it directly correlates with college competitive cheer as well. And so I didn't compete in college. I was on the all-girls squad at Texas Tech because there's a difference. There's a co-ed squad, which competes, And then there's the all-girl squad who is just game day. And I was on the just game day squad. And I never was one that liked to like yell on the sidelines and do all that. I like the sport behind cheerleading. Like I call them the subjects of cheerleading, like the stunting and the tumbling and the jumping, like more of the athletic side of it. And so walking away from it, I didn't cheer my senior year because I lost my dad my junior year. And I just didn't want to cheer again. I was burnt out over it. My body was broken. I can definitely say my body loves me a lot more now that I don't cheer. I'm not waking up in too much pain every morning like I used to be. So it was a bittersweet goodbye, but I still like to go to the gym sometimes and try to see what I can still do. Sometimes I get a little too confident and bust on my face, but that's okay.
I mean, you know, you still have to get to the gym and train and do certain things because you got to stay in shape for those backcountry hunts and some of those going into the country like that. You know, it's not easy.
Oh, for sure. And I will admit I have not done a great job with that within the last year. I kind of said I was going to give my body a break, but coming up, I'm about to get back into it and start working out again and getting my endurance up because I have a lot of hunts coming up.
Let me ask you, who else do you look at out there that kind of inspires you? It doesn't have to be in the hunting community, just in general. Who do you kind of look at and you're like, geez, I really like how they're doing things?
Oh gosh, there's a ton of amazing influencers and ambassadors, just one within hunting, but just in life in general too. Like one that I look up to in the hunting industry is Eva Shockey. I'm sure if y'all follow anything with hunting, you know who she is. Her dad's Jim Shockey, and I think she's an incredible businesswoman. She has turned her lifestyle into a business. And I think she's doing incredible things. And a few other people I hunt with. One is Brad Clay with Final Descent Outdoors. They have a show on Pursuit Channel, and he was a 15-year youth pastor. And I actually met him right after my dad passed away, and he kind of filled that void for me. He just was a great mentor, and I would call him my second dad now. I always go to him for advice, and his TV show is very faith-based, and his goal is to get the good old boys who don't go to church on every Sunday, who but live that country lifestyle, and get them to see the Lord. So he's someone that I really look up to also in the hunting industry. And then outside of the hunting industry, there's a few people like Rachel Hollis. She does inspirational, like self-help stuff. I think she's great. There's so many people out there. I can't think of them. You kind of caught me off guard with that question. My mom.
Oh, there you
go.
There you go.
My mom has helped me a lot, like just with everything going on, and she's been incredible to me. So my mom would be my biggest hero and someone I look up to because she's behind the scenes, but she helps me make my life a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of that with your mom on the documentary, and it was, you know, you could tell she definitely. You two do look identical, by the way. It is pretty funny.
Yeah,
it's uncanny.
It's scary. That's why I say I have my dad's insides and my mom's outsides. Like the older I get, I'm like, wow, we really do look a lot alike. Like. Yeah. There's been times I've seen pictures and I'm like, wait, is that me or my mom?
Yeah, I think there was one photo that they shared there, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, they really do look alike. I was taken back. I was like, whoa. I was like, I thought they were just messing. But
yeah, I get asked if we're twins.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm like, well, do I look that much older, or does my mom look that much younger?
Oh, my God. Now I
would say we meet in the middle.
Oh, definitely. Now you get to travel around. You get to go to all these crazy shows. What's your favorite show, and what's your least favorite?
My favorite show, I would say SHOT Show is one of my favorite shows. Like as overwhelming, as crazy and chaotic as it is a very cool experience, especially to see all of the brands there that and the new products that they have, and just how far this industry has come. So I would say SHOT Show is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I mean, I tell people all the time, NRA is my favorite over SHOT because I think you get to connect more with the customers, you know, and the people,
Yeah.
the boots on the ground. So SHOT.
Yeah, and I agree with that because NRA is a consumer-based show. It's open to the public, whereas SHOT Show, you have to, I guess, get invited or be with a company.
You know, I think what it is with SHOT, like we were talking about this earlier, like bumping into each other at SHOT. It's like you want to bump into everybody, but you're kind of like, ugh, because you're there for work. You know what I mean? So you just kind of one thing to the next. So even if you bump into people you want to and you want to have dialogue, you're kind of just like, hey, good to see you. You know, yeah, I got to go to this booth. You know, I got to go here. Oh, great. Yeah. Awesome. Because you don't really have the time at NRA. We kind of strip our schedules a little bit better and we have more there's more bandwidth. Like you can just kind of relax and you have a weekend. And it's not as heavily appearance-based, that
makes sense. I can agree with that. And with the NRA, it's in a different location every year, so you get to go out and experience different cities.
Yeah, and everything at NRA is business-based. I mean, at SHOT is business-based, so it's a little draining. Everything's like a little bit more draining, I think. Oh,
yeah. I stay in bed like the next week. Yeah. And I normally end up getting sick, it never fails during show season. I always get some kind of sickness just from being around so many people and the environment in different places. But SHOT Show takes it out of me.
You get the SHOT Show AIDS. That's what it is. Everybody gets
what it is.
Yeah, you come out of SHOT Show and you just legitimately are dead for 3 days.
Yeah, it's like you're hungover. Yeah. Well, probably most people are, but
it's funny because I go and I don't even drink and I live here now. So it's a lot easier for me. It's more exhausting living here now than commuting in because then at least you get to get on a plane and leave. But
yeah you get to get out of Vegas. Vegas is it's only a short period of time that I can be there.
It's funny because living here now, you never go to the Strip. People always think you're on the Strip. You never go to the Strip. You're like,
I feel like I never would if I was there.
There's beautiful areas. You never go to the Strip. When you go to SHOT and you go to these shows, what brands do you love? I mean, you don't necessarily have to work with them. What are some brands you kind of look at and you're like, oh, I love their stuff or what they're doing?
One of the booths that has always stood out to me is the Sig Sauer booth. That booth, I think they spend $1 million on their booth. It is crazy big. And I just like to see, I wouldn't say necessarily different brands, but there's just some crazy booths and marketing that goes into it. So I always like to see the different setups and how brands have evolved over the past few years. So that's one of I wouldn't say there's a specific brand, but one of the booths that has stuck out to me is the Sig Sauer booth.
Live free or die, Kendall, New Hampshire.
What?
Live free or die, New Hampshire.
Exactly.
Yeah, SIG, I will tell you this. I grew up 30 miles from SIG. I'm very familiar with the culture. I'll be at their private range day on Sunday. SIG is a city when you go to Epping, New Hampshire. It's a city.
Oh, really?
And they have the largest range facility you've ever laid eyes on at a manufacturer. They have a huge pro shop. They have probably 50 trainers on staff at that academy. It's literally a city when you go there. I mean, it's insane. It's on another level. And if you go back through my podcast, I've interviewed 3 or 4 of the instructors there already. It's literally a mecca. So SIG does it right. I have obviously a large amount of friends that work there through the years growing up there. So it's an amazing facility. What they've done and how they've released their products and their SKUs over the years has been nothing short of amazing. And they definitely are an industry leader, no question.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. I've never been there, but the way you explain it, I'm going to have to Google it now.
Yeah, you got to look at the academy and just look. They have an aerial video. It's amazing. But, for the most part, there's a lot of cool brands out there. The biggest question you get asked all the time is, where have you seen innovation? Because innovation is something that's been lacking in our industry for a long time, right? Like, so you're always like chasing that innovation. I think what SIG's coming out with the cross bolt gun, that has to get you a little excited. I think some of the advancements in soft goods clothing has been amazing the last 5 to 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's something that the hunting industry really needs to get in on is the soft goods, like the marketing merchandise as far as t-shirts and hats and stuff, because that's just free advertisement when people wear it. And some of the companies aren't on board yet. They're still producing like just the Gildan shirts that it's in your back of your closet that are uncomfy. But I just I think that they need to get more into marketing and the soft tees and stuff like that.
I want you to shed light on something. I want to come back to hunting for a quick second, because a listener asked me a question. They said, what is the point of hunting an exotic rare animal if they don't harvest the meat? Can you explain to them that they do harvest the meat?
Yeah. So actually in Africa, it's really hard to understand it, but the natives, they eat everything, like from elephant to leopard to lion to an impala to sable to whatever they're hunting over there. Nothing goes to waste. I mean, whenever I shot my elephant, I shot it close to like sundown, and so we left it there overnight and came back the next morning. We let the head guy of the village know, I guess you would call him the chief, to let him know we had harvested an elephant, and if they want the meat, they can come and help us skin it the next morning. And I kid you not, there was 300 villagers there helping us skin it and get the meat from it. And I even saw them cut the tongue out of the elephant to take back and eat. So nothing goes to waste. It's either we eat it ourselves, it's donated, someone somewhere is getting use out of every part of the animal.
Right. No, I think that's a struggle sometimes for people to understand, because they don't see it in the grocery store. They think like, you skin it and then you take the meat and you like throw it to the wolves. Like, they don't fully understand what goes into it and what's involved. And, I try to explain it to people, but it goes in one ear out the other sometimes. But I wanted to kind of clarify.
I always try, it might be a bad example, but like, think of it over people in Africa. To them, a whitetail or a mule deer or an elk is exotic to them. The animals over there aren't exotic to them. That's what they grew up with.
Now, overseas, when you travel over there and you hunt, how many shots and like what do you have to go through to go to Africa to go on a hunt?
So actually, the first time I went to Africa in third grade, I got all the shots that they recommended. Mom was nervous, and so we loaded up on the shots. But since then, I don't get any. Like, my dad has gotten tick bite fever before and came back to the U.S., and they like quarantined him in the hospital and all that. And my dad was like, okay, this is not that serious, and called the guy in Africa, and he was able to tell him what he needed to do and what he needed, and he was over it in 2 days. And so that's like the closest, I would say, scare we've had. But I've never had anything happen to me going over there. Of course, you can get shots for what's the mosquito? Oh yeah, West Nile. Is that the mosquito? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get that, and I think there's another one that's carried by mosquitoes. That I've talked to a bunch of the African people over there, and they've had it before, but they got over it.
I have to imagine there's all kinds of rare diseases you worry about.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. That's not going to stop me from going somewhere. If you want to, I research it, of course, see what you should get, but going to Africa, I've never gotten, except for in third grade, but I haven't gotten any shots or anything for it.
So, you're able to avoid getting, some crazy whooping cough or anything overseas. That's, it's crazy, because when you see some of these hunts, sometimes I'm like, there has to be like a snake somewhere in the bushes that's going to like come out and give you something crazy.
No, I've seen snakes over there. I actually grabbed a python by its tail this last trip I went on in August.
It's crazy. It's amazing. It's just seeing it. And again, to everyone listening, you have to go see the video that Kendall has up on our website that kind of shows some of these hunts and some of this stuff. And if you haven't been to Africa, it's really amazing country, and some of the safaris that you've gone on, it's really cool to see. How many trips have you made over total?
7. This past August was my 7th trip. So I went in 3rd grade. I went whenever I was 13, twice whenever I was 14, once whenever I was 19, 21, and then 24.
One That's a lot of trips. How many miles do you have?
A lot. One helpful thing is my mom's a flight attendant. So a lot of these flights that we go on, if her airline flies there, we try to non-rev over there, but not to Africa. Africa, we fly Delta and do the direct flight from Atlanta to Joburg. So we always have to pay for that one. And those are some miles, a 16-hour flight.
Are you platinum status on Delta?
No, not yet. I mean, I don't fly Delta too often, but I love the airline for sure.
They get you like one free check-in bag and a bag of peanuts for
exactly
for
like
diamond status. So I have to ask you this. I know we've been on for an hour. I ask every female guest this, and I think this might, I think your man's in the background. He might chuckle at this. What's the creepiest thing you've ever had happen to you at a show or in your DMs?
Oh gosh. Well, actually, I'm sitting next to the lady that works for me, Amy, and she goes through all of my Facebook DMs. And yesterday, she got one that said, "I'm horny for your boobs." I'm like, ew. But yeah, I get D pics a lot, and that's pretty disgusting.
I tell most females they always get asked for clothes. Clothes is the big one. That came up the other day.
I've gotten asked for dirty underwear.
Yeah, who do I have on?
Ew, or pictures of my feet. I get asked for feet pics a lot.
That's weird. I think it was Danielle Kelly, the jiu-jitsu girl, or Jamie Villamore, one of them. I asked it, I'm like, why don't you girls start like a charity? If the woman who's working for you is listening, actually, thank you, by the way, for all your help. But she should set up like some charity, and it's like, yeah, we'll send you, the article of clothing you're looking for. I mean, we can neither confirm nor deny it that it's worn, and we'll donate it to conservation.
No, but really, like, people will ask me for feet pictures, and they're like, "I'll pay you this much," and I'm like, for my feet? I haven't accepted any yet, but I'm highly thinking about it because, like, it's my toes. Like,
because I said it, I'm like, why hasn't, you have causes, right? You support. So, like, I'm like, why don't you just, like, create, like, like, send me a receipt that you donated in my name to a some type of charity, and make it like a crazy number and be like, yeah, I'll give you whatever. You want my dirty socks? I'll give them to you.
You want my dirty socks? Amy is over here dying laughing.
Because it makes sense, right? Like, put it to good use.
Like, whatever. I guess everyone has some sort of need. Some people need feet pics, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess Googling feet doesn't do it for them.
What about at a show?
At a show, you have the guys that will hit on you and stuff, but I haven't had anyone be like too over the top. Maybe someone telling me I need to wear shorts or something like that, or like asking me if I'll kiss their cheek or something like that, but nothing that's just like, whoa, this dude needs to go. I really don't know what I would do in that position because, like, I don't like to be mean or anything, but if someone ever crosses that line, like, I can probably flip a switch and give it to them.
I think there's something there. I think you guys and your team got to capitalize on I've said it to like the last three. If you go listen to the last 3-4 female guests I've had on, I think you ladies have to capitalize on the clothing thing and create like some type of charity pool. I think it would be bigger than like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation if something like that was set up. Because I think, for some reason, it's always about the clothes. It's always like, can I get used gym socks, or can I get like, like a bra you wore to the gym on like a 5-mile hunt? And I'm like, what the fuck? Because if somebody was asking me for my underwear, I'd be like, yeah, like send money to like a GoFundMe for like, saving, kittens or something. Or after I watch that whole Don't Fuck with Cats. And
these undies are yours.
Yeah, and they're yours. I'll send them in a plastic bag. Like, have fun. It's crazy because there's all kinds of weird stuff out there, but I don't envy you ladies is my point. You guys have to deal with, I don't envy it.
I don't think there would be any reason you should in that aspect.
Yeah. But I'm glad you have somebody sifting and filtering. Most women don't. And that's too bad, but yeah, you have to filter and you have to sift, but I think you're onto something with creating a
sometimes whenever Amy texts me, she'll be like, look at the DM you just got. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to know the one she doesn't send me.
Amy should create a call out scrapbook on a separate page. Amy, you'd make millions.
Amy, there's your way to millionaire.
If you create a portal that's like a pay portal and like, see if it was like a dark page, what did Jamie Villamore call it? The dark DMs. If you created a pay portal and it all goes to charity on Kendall's page, a back end, and it was like, see what slid in the DMs this week. The first girl that does that makes millions.
Well, looks like I got a new business plan going.
There you go. So I'm glad we ended with a laugh, and I really appreciate you taking the time and spending some time, just kind of chatting and getting to know you and your story. I think you have an amazing story, and I think you got a long way to go. But let everybody,
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a good talk, and I'm glad we got to get some education out there to maybe some of your listeners that aren't hunters, or that don't even know who I am, and that's completely fine. I don't expect everyone to, or anyone for that matter. It's still crazy being in this position, but I'm happy to be here. I'm glad that God gave me this platform. So
yeah, I think you just have a long way to go. You're gonna do so much. Let everybody know where they can find you. Plug any sponsors or anybody you want to plug, and do me a favor. Let everybody know the best place to reach out to you if they do, or find Amy.
Yeah, so my website is www.thekindlejones.com. And all my partners that I work with are on the partners page on that website. Some incredible companies. I don't work with people that I don't believe in. I want them to have the same outlook and education and stuff like that going for them. So I don't work with junk companies. And then on social media, my Instagram is _KendallJones_. And I just got verified this past year. So that was pretty exciting. And then on Facebook, it's official Kendall Jones. And I'm verified on there as well. But if you want to watch the documentary we've been talking about, it's on my YouTube channel. So youtube.com/KendallJones.
Oh, I'll have to go subscribe to that. I just hit the follow on the thing. I'm going to find you on YouTube. Yeah, that'll be
subscribe. I want some more subscribers. I'm just getting into YouTube, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it yet, but I'm learning about it, and social media is absolutely crazy with all the things you have to learn.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. So I just hit subscribe on that. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the things that you do, and hopefully you'll have a great shot. Is there anything in 2020 you want to let anybody know you got going on or coming up?
I have a lot of fun hunts planned, some incredible projects in the works. So they're just going to have to follow me to see.
Well, that's vague.
I know.
So what about anything?
I'll have some.
Give us something. Are you going to do? You got to do like a podcast. You got to have something. What do you got in the works?
Well, I mean, I talked about my video series that that's the big project coming out, the Cody project. So that's one that I'm hoping will launch a little bit later this year. And then I have some hunts, like my New Zealand hunt, and I'm actually, I should mention this. And if you want to go, let me know. I'm taking a group to Africa
Oh,
in
wow.
June.
Yeah.
I opened it up to my followers. If anyone has been interested in going or wanting to go to Africa, but are kind of nervous, don't want to go by themselves, I got a group together and I opened it up to the public. So if anyone wants to go over there and go hunting with me, that is in June.
Well, there you go. That's a major
can email
announcement.
me.
Yeah, that's major.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah,
So
that's a big deal.
That's one of the fun things I have planned, but I have quite a few more in the works.
Well, I'm excited. I think it's going to be amazing. I can't thank you enough, and I can't thank you and Amy for taking the time and setting this aside. I think this is going to be a tremendous year. I think you're going to knock it dead. I'm looking forward to see how all these things kind of fall on your plate and what comes of it. So I'm excited. I'll look forward to this. Hopefully we'll get to bump into each other at SHOT, and I'm really thankful and grateful that you took the time.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. And thank Amy for me in the background there.
Amy, thank you. She's probably over there working on the Feet Pick charity.
I think she should do that. So I appreciate it.
Whenever that launches, you'll be the first podcast I do to promote it.
100%. I want 5%.
Okay, perfect. You get the founder's fee.
Absolutely. So I appreciate it, and I'm gonna sign out. We're out.